Takulandirani ku AMTV Malawi kuchimake kwa nkhani zenizeni. Ngati nkhani imeneyo kuno kulibe, dziwani kuti nkhani imeneyo ndi yabodza.
Thank you so much. You're most welcome. You may take your seat. Once again, welcome the CEO. For the sake of this engagement, we'll address you as a controlling officer. In the event that the deliberations have started and you want to give a position, I'll give you that chance. Whenever you want to make a position very clear, switch on the mic because all the deliberations are being recorded. So to just make sure that you are comfortable, before we start any kind of discussions this afternoon, I'd like you to take an oath, because whatever you're going to say in this room, in this engagement, shall be used in generating a report and making recommendations. And at the same time, we will have a chance to present that report in Parliament, and anyone, anywhere in this world shall be in a position of listening and taking appropriate actions to ensure that we collect what we feel that needs to be collected. So Secretariat, before we do the introductions, allow us to give a chance to all the members who are going to speak in this room to take an oath. So Secretariat, kindly proceed to administer an oath. Secretariat.
I, Gillian Kachikondo, do solemnly swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Ruben Kumwenda, do solemnly swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, James Mingwa, do solemnly swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Kingsley Zulu, do solemnly swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Love Mogamban, do solemnly swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I hope everyone has taken an oath. Having done that, allow me to ask honor members to introduce themselves so that you get to know the honor members who are seated in this room. And it will also give you a chance to know them. And on top of knowing them, whenever they have posed a question, it is expected of you to identify them basing on their constituencies. So whenever they are posing a question, they shall start by, I will recognize them by their constituency, which you will take note. Say, Palombe Machemba, then you respond. This is how we're going to proceed. But I want you to feel at ease and be as comfortable as you can so that we conduct this in a fair manner and ensure that we get the information that the nation requires. We'll start from my far right, from Balaka. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Afternoon all. My name is Arini Mambala, Member of Parliament for Balaka Mulunguzi.
Through you, Chair. My name is Noel Lipipa, Member of Parliament for Blantyre City, Chiromoni, Kabula, and Choli constituency.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Fisiani Nyondo, representing the people of Chitipa Central constituency. Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair. This is Young Peel, representing the people of Lilongwe East. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Good afternoon. My name is Buka Matemvu, representing the people of Mulanje South East.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Macpherson Mwaindalama, representing the people of Chiradzula Nyongwe. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Temba Nkandawire, representing the people of Blantyre City, Chirimises. Thank you.
Through you, Honorable Chairperson, my name is Santiago Samson Piri, Member of Parliament for Mulanje South constituency. Thank you.
Through you, Honorable Chairperson, my name is Geoffrey Onsewa, Member of Parliament for Chikwawa North. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Winston Kamabanjira, Member of Parliament for Lilongwe Chiwamba. Thank you, Chair.
And Chair, representing the people of Lilongwe Mpeno, this is Isaac Nawamkaka, and I go ahead to declare interest. The CEO was my classmate in college.
Wow.
Through you, Chair, I'm George Katunga Million, Member of Parliament, Palombe Machemba. Thank you, Chair.
And my name is Best Ben Awali, Member of Parliament for Zomba City North. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Gerard Tasa Okadala, representing the people of Blantyre Central constituency. Thanks and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair and all. My name is Amina Gajia, MP for Zomba Sodol.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Dossi, Member of Parliament for Chikwawa West. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Voa Kaunda, MP for Ngarebe Central. Thank you, sir.
Chair, my name is Samuel Bukos, Member of Parliament for Machinga Central.
Honorable Chairperson, my name is Frederick Amani, Parliament Secretariat.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson. My name is Sangwani Piri, Parliament Secretariat. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. Tila Likoma, Secretariat. Thank you.
Through Honorable Chairperson, I'm Nelly Nkata, Parliament Secretariat.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Tulinje Muluzi, Member of Parliament for Machinga Likweno. And I'm the Vice Chairperson for this committee. Thank you.
Controlling Officer, my name is Baba Steven Malondera Kansiamo. I'm an MP for Lilongwe Nyanja constituency and Chairperson of Public Accounts Committee.
Thank you.
For me to give you space to introduce yourself and the members, the positions they are holding, then we'll get into a substantive discussion or engagement. Thank you. Over to you, Controlling Officer.
Thank you very much, Chair, Honorable Chair, and Honorable Members. My name is Jillian Kachikondo. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Continental Asset Management. On my left is Mr. Ruben Kumwenda. He is the Group Legal and Compliance Manager. And on my right is...
Point of order, Controlling Officer. Give them time to chill so that they can also introduce themselves, so that they can settle in this room. Because the next time they go to task is with the responding, they may be not settled. So we want to create a conducive environment so that everyone settles.
Thank you.
So allow me to request that they introduce themselves. Controlling Officer.
Through you, Chair, honorable members, my name is Ruben Kumwenda,
Group Legal and Compliance Manager.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is James Mbingwa. I'm Senior Research and Investments Manager.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Kingsley Zulu. I'm the Group Financial Controller.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Love Mokamban. I'm Head of Business Development and Marketing for Continental Asset Management.
Thank you so much, colleagues and honorable members, as well as
in the transaction, the Amaryllis transaction, and in my presentation, I will first give an overview, then I will take you through a chronology of events up to the time where Continental Asset Management exited its involvement in the transaction. On 20th March 2024, we were engaged by Public Service Pension Trust Fund in a limited advisory capacity. And it was in a limited advisory capacity to provide an interim investment analysis on the proposed acquisition of Amaryllis Hotel. I will also mention that we were not appointed to conduct a full legal and commercial due diligence because the engagement concluded somewhere in October 2024, where the fund confirmed that it would not proceed to engage CAM in a full scope mandate in an advisory capacity for the transaction. So beyond October 2024, Continental Asset Management was no longer involved in the transaction. I will now take you through a chronology of our involvement in the transaction. We first received instructions from the fund. Before I say that, let me mention that the investment was being handled by another asset manager that had withdrawn from the transaction, citing operational risks. I did mention that our capacity in our involvement in the transaction was in a limited capacity, and it is because the letter also mentioned that we should work from existing consultant reports and our own due diligence methodologies. So in terms of our input, the input that we used to prepare an analysis for the fund, it was limited to the information that we had received from the fund. And the information that we received from the fund, number one, were 3 independent valuation reports. One was prepared by FDH Bank, dated June 2023. The second one was a property valuation for the hotel that was prepared by Knight Frank. These are property valuers, and this was dated July 2023. The third one was another property valuation that was carried out by Garden City Properties, and this was also dated 13 July 2023. In order to complete our analysis, we also requested financial statements from the hotel, and these were provided to us by Yusuf Investments Limited, whom we understood at that point to be the party that was selling the hotel. We proceeded to conduct an independent analysis, and I will take a bit of time there because in explaining the analysis that we did, I will also go on to explain the methodology. So in the methodology, number one, we conducted an analysis of the business operations. This was using the information that was provided to us, the financial statements and the valuations. And we analyzed the financial performance of the hotel over the previous 4 years, 2021 up to 2024. And we also made a projection of how the hotel would perform for the next 5 years, which was supposed to inform our valuations, our discounted cash flow valuations, and the other valuations that I will go into. We used a number of valuation techniques to value the hotel. Number one, we used a net asset valuation, and this technique determines the value of a business by subtracting its total liabilities from its total assets. This is most useful in valuing businesses which are primarily asset-based, and also to value businesses that are at the end of life, because it does not attach value to any future growth and any excess returns that could flow from that growth. The resulting net asset valuation in this case was 56.67 billion. We also conducted a discounted cash flow analysis. This technique projects the business's future cash flows and adjusts them to their present value, and also factors in any economic indicators such as inflation and interest rates. So this valuation technique is largely dependent on reliable forecast cash flows for the entity being valued. After doing this valuation, the resulting valuation came up to 36.029 billion. We also conducted an enterprise value multiples valuation. This is where we value a company by comparing its financial performance against other public companies in the same industry and looking at the multiples of other public entities in the same industry against its financial performance. This financial performance is earnings before interest and tax, depreciation, and amortization. We call it EBITDA multiples. The resulting valuation from this valuation technique was 37.51 billion kwacha. We conducted a net present value analysis, and this technique assesses the viability of an investment and the time required to recover the capital invested. Capital invested meaning a purchase price. I must mention that at the beginning of the exercise, we were informed that this was an opportunity that had been analyzed and had been had gone through certain stages to the extent that a price had been agreed and that there was information supporting that. So the price that we were given was a potential purchase price of 48.73 billion. This price was disclosed to us by the fund and the potential seller of the business. And because we had this price, we decided to do an analysis of that price as well, just to complete our submission to the fund. So after analyzing the price, our conclusion was that given that price of 48.73 billion kwacha, the investment could be viable over a period of 40 years. And then we also analyzed the payback period. That is the time it would take the potential cash flows from the investment to cover the purchase price. And the time that we determined that the time it would take, based on our projections, to recover the purchase price was 36 years. We submitted our conclusion.
Controlling officer, maybe before you proceed, did you just indicated that having done all those things, it was paid at 48 and the recovery of that amount, 48 billion, was to be achieved or raised after 36 years? Is this what you communicated at 48 billion?
No, let me clarify that because our analysis was made in a limited capacity, we never recommended a price to the client. But instead, we were informed that a price of 48.73 billion kwacha had already been agreed. And because we had that price, we did an analysis of that price. That is where we came up with a payback period of 36 years and a viability period of 40 years based on discounted cash flows. Let me also qualify that this was a proposed price, not an agreed price. Yeah. So this was the price that was proposed then for the transaction. Okay. So based on all our analysis, we submitted a report to the fund that pegged the intrinsic value of the investment in 2024 at 36.77 billion kwacha, which was the average of the discounted cash flow valuation and the enterprise value multiples valuation. So in our analysis, we also indicated to the fund that the investment could be viable. However, it required a full transaction team to assess the investment against up-to-date valuations. Remember, we were in 2024, and I have mentioned that the valuations that were provided to us were dated 2023. We also recommended that we need an industry expert to input into the analysis of the transaction. We also provided to them in a later meeting some legal considerations for the investment that included the need to do some legal due diligence, corporate searches, licensing, financial agreements, and also the need to inform the Competition and Fair Trading Commission if the transaction at that point was flagged as a material and regulatory risk. I will move to October 2024, August 2024, where we also met the fund and confirmed that the agreed mandate framework raised two material concerns. Number one was the fund's private equity allocation in our portfolio, which was then at 17% against a 5% maximum. We also disclosed our interest in the transaction in the sense that CDH Investment Bank, which is our sister company, holds security over the hotel property as lender to Yusuf Investments Limited. We were being proactive in disclosing this potential conflict of interest, but we also informed them that in our opinion, this would not impair our judgment on the transaction. On 23rd October 2024, we received a letter from the fund that formally declined the potential lead advisor mandate agreement to do a full due diligence analysis on the transaction, citing three reasons. Number one, conflict of interest. The fact that we were serving as the fund manager and would be serving as legal advisor in the opinion of the fund raised a conflict of interest. The other reason that we were given was that the fee structure at 1% of asset value was excessive. And the other reason was that for them to go into a mandate with any advisor, they needed to follow procurement rules, where they would have to get at least 3 competitive quotations. At that point, our involvement in the transaction was halted, and we were no longer involved in any of the subsequent dealings on the transaction. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Controlling Officer, for your submission. At this point in time, allow me to ask honor members for questions, clarifications. Honor members, time for plenary. Any takers? Palombe Machemba.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair, I would like the presenter just to confirm, just to clarify. She has indicated to the committee, she has submitted to the committee that the potential seller, the seller of this hotel, told them that there is an agreement, there is a proposal of the price pegged at 48.73 billion kwacha. Was this only from the potential seller and probably anything from the potential buyer? Was there any mention of the price? And whether the price, whether there was any mention from the potential buyer, whether that price mentioned was tallying with the price of 48.73 billion kwacha. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Palombe Machemba. Controlling Officer.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Member for Palombe Majemba. I confirm that this, when we got this proposed price from the potential seller, we confirmed it with our client, the fund, and it was confirmed, and it formed a part of our analysis. So from the documents that we have submitted to you, you will see that we mentioned it in the analysis because it was confirmed with the client. Thank you.
Zomba Central. Zomba City North, please.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, I just wanted to find out if Continental asset managers were dealing directly with the fund itself or NICO. That's number one. And number two, they have indicated that they had declared their conflict of interest, which evidently would have compromised their involvement in the exercise that they were doing. I wanted to find out, was not recusing yourself the best thing to do in order to save your integrity as a firm? And the Chair, the last one is, how long did it take for them to produce the report?
Thank you. Controlling Officer.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Zomba City North. Two questions. Number one, were we dealing directly with the fund or with NICO? The answer is we were dealing directly with the fund. At that point, we were informed by the fund that NICO was initially the fund manager that was working with the fund on the transaction, but they had exited the transaction. They had withdrawn from the transaction at some point, citing potential risks. So in all our dealings, we dealt with the fund, and it is also from the fund that we received the documentation that we used as input into our analysis. You have also raised the issue of the potential conflict of interest and our integrity. I want to confirm categorically that at no point was our integrity compromised in any way. I also want to mention that when it comes to issues of conflict of interest, it is up to the party declaring the conflict to ensure that if they feel that the conflict will result in a compromise in their judgment, they recuse themselves. We assessed the potential conflict of interest, and we, in our assessment, we confirmed that it would not impair our judgment in any way. And we went ahead to, number one, disclose it to the fund, and number two, confirm to the fund that the potential conflict of interest would not impair our judgment. So in disclosing to the fund, we were being proactive in informing them so that when they are reading our reports, they should also read them against that potential conflict of interest so that they can do their own assessment and confirm whether our judgment was impaired or not. Thank you.
Maybe before we get to the supplementary, Controlling Officer, are you aware that currently, as we're speaking, the purchase price is at 128.75 billion? As a professional, because you were hired as such, in the final transaction as presented, do you think this is consistent with your opinion that you gave to the pension fund, that you had given them a position as professionals? Now, as the transaction was concluded somewhere around November 2025, do you feel as a professional that your advice or guidance to pension fund was taken on board in arriving at 128.75 billion price? Controlling Officer.
Thank you very much, Chair. Number one, are we aware that the price is now 128.7 billion? It is in the public space, so we are aware. Number two, is this price consistent with our, did you say our advice or our opinion? I would say that as a professional, it is difficult for me to opine on that, and I will not attempt to, simply because this transaction, from what we have read in the public space, was being concluded in October, November 2025 or January 2026, thereabouts. Our involvement in the transaction was way back in 2024. And I have mentioned that our involvement was in a limited capacity. As such, we never went on to do a full analysis of the investment. As such, we are not aware of the inputs that went into this price. So it is difficult for me, and I will not attempt it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Controlling Officer. That is in order. But you are a citizen of this great nation, a very professional citizen, and we are going to respect you by not dragging you into an issue. But as a citizen of this great nation, you are aware that from 2024 to November 2025, this country did not face any devaluation. And originally, the pension fund had given you an indicative price of 48 billion. And there was an escalation from 48 billion to somewhere around 128 billion. So that's why I wanted to find on a professional opinion on the escalation of the price from 28, from somewhere around 48 billion, which you were given as an indicative price, to where it ended up at 128.75 billion. But since you've, as a professional, you've decided that that one you'll not attempt, we'll leave it as such. Honourable members, any takers? Maybe we start with Palombe Machemba. From Palombe Machemba, we'll go to Mulanje Southeast, and we'll finish with Blanta Chiromoni.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to ask a supplementary question from Palombe Machemba. You have submitted to this committee once again that you were told that both the buyer and the seller at the material time that the price of the hotel was pegged at 48.7 billion kwacha, and your valuation exercise arrived at 36.77 billion kwacha. But come the end of 2025 or early 2026, the hotel has been sold at slightly over 128 billion kwacha. My question is, when you heard the new price, were you alarmed by that price? Thank you, Chair.
Mulanje Southeast.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, I just wanted to find out from CAM on the conflict of interest. They are saying that they had declared their conflict of interest to the fund managers, pension fund managers. I just wanted to have a clarification there. The public fund are the ones that have given you a portfolio to manage. And they also gave you an assignment to do the valuation. And you are saying that you declared to the fund managers your interest. Were they not aware of your interest in the first place when they were giving you that particular assignment? And if they were aware of that conflict arising from their giving you the assignment, why did you have to declare your interest to a party that is already aware of the conflict that arises from the assignment? I'm not sure, Chair, whether I would proceed substantively to questions that I had, but this was the supplementary one that I had, but I also have substantive questions that I would want to put across. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe as the controlling officer is taking that one, you may wish to come out very clearly in terms of when exactly did you declare? Was it before you were hired to do the job, or after you were assigned the job? And if you did declare after being assigned the role, after how long did you declare your conflict of interest? Blantyre City, Chilomoni, Kabula, Nancholi, you raise a hand. Maybe you can put on that one. So,
Yes, Chair. I think to say that they had declared the conflict of interest and therefore that was enough, that's very unprofessional from them. Because the conflict of interest is arising in two folds, Chair. They are the fund managers for the pension fund, right? They are doing evaluation for the pension fund. And they are putting a recommendation to them that even though it is going to take 40 years or 36 years, the business is viable. Whereas their sister company has given the seller, which is Yusuf Investment, right, a loan in which they are interested for their sister company to claim that money. So they are in serious conflict of interest, Chair, very unprofessional. It's twofold. Because if you look at it, Amaryllis Hotel has obtained a loan from CDH Investment Bank. They are giving a recommendation to the buyer pension fund to say, you can invest in this, it's okay. In short, Chair, if it's my company, I would say, yeah, CDH is my company. I would tell them, guys, do this because I want our money. Our money is not safe. So one company is advising the buyer, the other company is advising the seller. Both companies, sister companies, have got a big interest, Chair. They shouldn't have done that professionally. That was very, very unprofessional. Thank you, Chair.
Controlling officer, maybe you may wish to, as you attempt those, since your sister company had extended a loan, maybe as you respond, you may wish also to submit to this committee the repayment period of the loan that was acquired, if you have the actual period, because we're talking of viability being at 40, and at the same time your sister company had extended the loan. What was the repayment period? You may wish to take all the questions, controlling officer. Over to you.
Chair, thank you very much. Thank you to the three members who have asked questions. I will start with Palombe Majemba. Valuation was in 2024, valued at 36.77 billion, and a proposed price of 48.71 billion. And in 2026, we learned that the price was over 128 billion. The question was, were you alarmed? I was curious, but I had no information to make an assessment of that price. Because number one, I already mentioned that there was, we were not privy to the input that went into this price. Number two, we were also not privy to the, I would say, to the clauses that accompanied this price. So it was difficult. I would want to know, but I didn't have that information. I still don't have it. Mulanje Southeast, they asked, there was a conflict of interest that was declared, and they feel that the fund was already aware of this conflict of interest, and therefore we did not need to disclose. But professionally, we were compelled to disclose this conflict of interest. It was disclosed after being assigned the role. Blantyre City Chilomoni Kabula. They're saying we were unprofessional. Why did we accept to do a valuation and make a recommendation to the fund when we knew that our sister company had advanced funds to Yusuf Investments Limited? And number two, what was the repayment period of the loan that CDH Investment Bank extended to Yusuf Investments Limited? Let me mention, and it is part of your pack, that the Knight Frank report of 2023 is the one that discloses these encumbrances. There are three parties that have that placed a charge on the property. There's National Bank of Malawi, 4.4 billion, and a further sum of 4.4 million, and a further sum of 1.4 billion, and a further sum of 5.1 billion. CDH Investment Bank, a sum of 2.2 billion, and NOSAD Finance, a sum of 3.5 billion. So these were, 3.5 million US dollars to NOSAD Finance. These were in the valuation reports and were also in the financial statements. We would not be aware of the terms of these loans. We are not aware of the terms of the CDHIB loan. We are not aware of the terms of the National Bank loan. We are also not aware of the terms of the NOSAD Finance loan. So we would not know the period. What we know was that the property was encumbered, and one of the parties that had placed a charge on the property was the CDH Investment Bank. How did you recommend a buy to the fund, knowing full well that a sister company is interested? If you have read our letter and if you have listened to me, I have said we were engaged in a limited capacity. We never went on to make a final recommendation to the fund. And if you read our report, that is we have also submitted to you, you will see that in that report, we are informing them that this is the intrinsic value, and we are also making an analysis of the purchase price and informing them of the payback period and the net present value. But Council will come in.
I beg your indulgence, honorable members. I just wanted to comment on what was being said about the conflict of interest and to make it clear, maybe in the language that we should be using. Continental Asset Management disclosed a potential conflict of interest. So when you talk about conflict of interest, a conflict of interest does not crystallize just because of a set of facts. You look at whether it can impair your judgment. Now, in this case, what was being asked was an analysis of work that had already happened. So there's a potential price, and Continental Asset Management is being asked, can you analyze this as it is? Now, as the CEO or controlling officer rather has said, in the chronology, what comes about is that based on the information, which at the time was mid-2023, Continental Asset Management formed the view that an independent full exercise was necessary in 2024, but the information had been produced in 2023. Continental Asset Management says, let us do a full independent exercise whereby industry experts are found, and this can be found under Annex F. I believe under paragraph 2.1, there's a list of experts that are named there. Hospitality, experts, legal, commercial, so that all of this potential conflict of interest can be dealt with. Another thing that, honorable members, I would not want to belabor the point. There are not many asset management firms in the country. So one prominent one had already fallen off. This came, and when it came as one of the few firms with the expertise to analyze, it was looked at and said, when you look at the creditors, and this controlling officer has mentioned the figures, we looked at it and said, this does not impair Continental Asset Management's ability to analyze the initial information provided. However, they could not come to a final decision on their own, and that is why a full transaction team was recommended. And we have said that did not materialize. So I just wanted to make those points clear to say it was for prudence sake that we looked at declaring a potential conflict which was already in the papers, and it was for prudence sake that we said, let us look at independent experts on each aspect so that for a transaction of this nature, it is looked at with the detail that it is required to come to a recommendation, because as we sit here today, no such recommendation has been given by Continental Asset Management. An analysis, yes, that was interim in nature. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Controlling Officer. Maybe can you attend to your mic? Maybe you can, yeah. Before I come to Blanta Chiromoni, listening to counsel, you're talking of the analysis, and the controlling officer actually whispered when you're looking at when the report or the analysis was submitted. Controlling officer, did your May 2024 analysis identify any potential operational, financial, or even regulatory risks, such as potential breaches of investment, limits for pension funds, all those things? Did that analysis capture that? And because in my view, that would surely make this transactional problematic if you had seriously have had an analysis that actually identified such challenges. Did your report, in your report that was submitted in May 2025, your analysis identify any operational, financial, or regulatory risks? Blantyre Chilomoni?
Yes, Chair. They said there is a potential or there may be a potential conflict of interest. That I deny. There was clear potential. There was clear conflict of interest, not potential. They being fund managers, know fully aware, if you are investing something between 36 and 40 years, there are two issues. Either the cash flows are too weak or the property has been overpriced. Why would they proceed to recommend that they may invest in that? It's because of that interest to say our sister company must collect their money, which they are advanced to Yusuf Investment. That's serious. That's what I meant. So your judgment definitely is impaired because of that particular interest. So the interest, the conflict of interest is very clear, not even potential. There is a conflict of interest. There's no way you as fund managers, you would go and recommend an investment for 40 years or 36 years. That after 36 years, it will still pay back if you're not interested. Because that investment, seriously, has got two issues. Either the cash flows are too weak or the value of that property is too high. And you still go ahead and recommend. My conclusion, Chair, is that I am interested to collect or to recover my debt. That's why I'm making that recommendation. That's so I reject the fact that they're saying that there may be potential conflict of interest. There was actually a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Controlling officer, I actually asked you when exactly did you declare conflict of interest? Because what Blantyre Chilomoni is highlighting is pertinent and it's extremely valid. At what stage did you actually declare that conflict of interest? You can take all those questions, controlling officer. Over to you.
Thank you very much. You've asked, I think, two questions, Chair. Number one, did your report identify any potential risks, operational and other risks, operational, market, and other risks? Again, I will be quick to mention that this report was made in a limited capacity. So in terms of the risk, it was not detailed, but in a letter dated 22 August 2024 to the fund, you will see that we are actually highlighting a potential concentration of interest in property and in private equity to the fund, which could pose a liquidity risk to the fund. And in that, we also gave the fund some recommendations. We also identified some legal and regulatory risks, which we presented to the fund, to their investment committee on 13th August 2024. And again, these slides were provided to the committee in our letter. Blantyre Chilomoni Kabula, 36 years payback period, 40 years net viability period. Are you not conflicted in recommending this investment? Chair, respectfully, I would like to request him to read the report that we submitted. Honorable Member, Blantyre Chilomoni Kabula, you will see in that report that we are informing the fund that it will take 36 years to recover the value in form of payback, and the investment could be viable over 40 years, but we never made a recommendation.
Yes.
And then you also mentioned that in your opinion, there was a clear conflict of interest. We will beg to differ, and we will accept that that is your opinion. We will not, but we will not accept that we were conflicted in providing this investment analysis, because we had done our own analysis of the potential conflict of interest, and we had opined that this conflict of interest will not result in an impairment of judgment.
If I may, honorable members, I think also with honorable member from Blantyre, Chiromoni, if we had recommended the investments proceed as given, I would take your position to say we were conflicted. But I'll put it to you to ask, can you point out where we recommended to say proceed at this price? I don't think the documents support that position, because if that was the case, the transaction would have concluded then. It did not. So CAM did not recommend, and I do not want to belabor the point, but I think what should be very clear is that a price was given. An analysis was requested based on the price that was given. And based on that price, Continental Asset Management said that based on this price, it would take this time for this to be paid back. It was an analysis. And I think we should differentiate that from a recommendation, because there was no recommendation. So if in the documents we can have a look at the paragraph, we are very happy to look at that. I'm not sure if this is the forum, but we thought it would be important to maybe ensure that we are under oath. We did not give such a recommendation, and we do not think our documents support that. Thank you.
Chair, thank you so much. Before Blantyre Chiromoni, I would like to request the controlling officer to address the chair. And in the event that you want your colleague to chip in, please, we'll use the same forum so that we proceed in a procedural manner. But listening to you, controlling officer and council, basing on the price that you were given of 48, because it was not yours, but you had to make a proper analysis, and you actually suggested that this, in your professional opinion, it will take over 36 years to recover. That is at 48 billion. Now at 128 billion, will you be in a position of just giving an estimate based on ratio that at 128, because 48 billion, you had indicated that it would take 40 years. Now, there was no devaluation, there was nothing of that sort, but you indicated that it's going to take 40 years or 38 years at 48 billion. Now, we seated here knowing that in November, it was agreed that, no, this one has to go to 128 billion. So, as a professional, can you give us, just because you're talking of numbers, now we're speaking numbers, you're a banker and all these things. As a banker, you should have numbers in the names of ratio. Maybe as you're thinking about it, because just but a number, we'll get back to Blantyre Chiromoni. Blantyre Chiromoni, please.
Chair, much as it's not a recommendation, you gave this to us 3 minutes ago. I took time to read. The English is very simple and clear. This technique assesses the viability of an investment and the time required to recover the capital invested by reference to the project revenues and costs. Based on the purchase price, which you had seen at 48.7 billion, disclosed by CAM, by fund, and the investment could be viable over a period of 40 years. However, payback period would be viable. You just stated this. Because in this, what you've made a submission, there's no recommendation. But why I'm still stuck on the conflict of interest, you work for CDH. You are in your continental asset. Your interest is to protect the value of your shareholders. We as parliamentarians are saying the pension fund managers are supposed to protect the interest of the pensioners. You and your sister company happens to be in both sides. There is conflict of interest. Unfortunately, you can't see it, but it's very clear. Thank you.
Honourable members, I think we can break for 15 minutes so that colleagues, controlling officer and colleagues can also chew for some time and recollect, confer, so that when they come in this room, they are slightly sober. As you go out just to pacify the situation, kindly bang heads on the exact time when declaration was made on conflict of interest, because the controlling office have noted, regrettably though, that you have time and again avoided to clearly come out as to when you actually declared the conflict of interest. So as we break, as you bang heads, just kindly check notes and give us proper information. Honourable members, let's suspend for 15 minutes. Controlling officer and your team, there's tea outside. You can enjoy for a few minutes, paid by Parliament. Then we convene after 15 minutes. Thank you so much. You can take a leave.
Osaiwala kupanga subscribe ku channel ya AMTV Malawi.